Hello everyone. In today's video we're going to be looking at the float property in CSS. Now the float property is used to position elements to either the right or the left of our HTML page. Now to create a float an element, first of all we create that element. So okay, we can use the h1 for this example. Then for now we can just mute all the styles that we've created or just get rid of them. So I select the h1 tag and I just type in float left. Now when you float an element in CSS, it takes that element out of the normal flow of our web page. So as you can see, the CSS is cool h1 element is floated to the left, then every other thing that we have in this page, which is all this, now wraps around that text. Now the float property is used popularly on images, and I can show an example here. So let's remove the float property from the h1 tag and let's add an image. So I already have an image here, so about us.jpg. So I'll save this and go back to the page, refresh. Okay, now we have our image. Let's just resize that to make it more reasonable. So you can just put with, let's say, 500. Save this, go back and refresh. Okay, maybe even a bit smaller. Okay, so now if we want this text now to wrap around this image, let's say we have a pretty long about us text. So okay, you can just get rid of this and create this and another. So now we should have some pretty long text. Okay, let's say this is about text and want it to wrap around this image. Then after this, whatever is remaining should now go under. Now we just use the float property. So you select the image, or if you give your image a class like this, so it's more advisable to always style HTML elements using class names and not the element name itself. So I can give this about image and just select this class name and dot about image. So we just give this the float left, then save this and go back, and now our text wraps around this image. Now if we make this text longer, you'll see that whatever remains is going to flow underneath the image. So I've saved that, and I can see the text wraps around this image. So same thing if you use float right, so that's going to position the image to the right of the page, and when I save this, you'll see the image is over here and the text goes and wraps around. So let's now say you have a situation where you want to float your image or whatever element to either the left or the right, but you don't want the text or whatever is beneath it to wrap around it. How can you do that? Now for that, you use the clear property. So okay, first of all, let's put all this into a div and just give it a class name of text and save this. Okay, so now let's select this text class name and come here Now if you don't want the elements inside this text to wrap around that image or whatever element was floated, you just use the clear property, and since we're floating to the right, we use clear right. Save this, go back, and you see that our text no longer wraps around this image. And if we float to the left, fresh, for floating to the left, now to counter that, you use the float, the clear left, and we'll say that the text no longer wraps around the image. Or just to cover both bases, just use clear both. And whether the image or whatever was floated is floated to the left or right, both sides will be cleared. So that's how to use the float property to position elements in CSS, and I hope you understand this video. In the next video, we're going to be looking at margins and how we can put space around elements in CSS. So see you in that video. Bye.